Welcome to Design Diary, the podcast where you get to look inside my board game design notebook as well as what's going on inside my head. We look at a new word each day from the sense of mechanics, tone, theme, or inspiration for a full game. Today's word is lugubrious, mournful, especially, exaggeratedly or affectedly mournful, dismal. So, the one word that I didn't get into here was exaggeratedly mournful. So you were just really outputting your mourning. I took more of the dismal, full of sorrow, defeated approach. And I noticed something in that I get in these what I'm calling loops, where I kind of get stuck in the same thing a couple days in a row. It's the funny thing is this one's not in a row because I recorded last night with Rob Kramer for next week, and it's only been 10 hours since I recorded. So when I started writing this, and I sort of had some of those thoughts in here, so I kind of get hooked in these little loops of everything gets not a little samey, but a little. It starts to share common threads and things like that. Also with like games that I'm working on at the time, and it is interesting how that happens, especially when you're doing this day after day. So my first thought is the loss of a loved one. The act of memorializing them, which is a heavy theme and not something that I would necessarily shy away from, but it's hard to get deep into because, it can draw out feelings and things like that. And that's sort of exactly what today's word is. It's all about. So, you would be successful in that, but a lot of times board games are intended to be fun and an escape, and that's that can get difficult to tread on that. So my notes say, a local legend passes away years after they've been forgotten. Your job is to collect their good deeds and share them with more than just your small town. We saw that a little bit. I made a note here, episode 42, Panegyric with Robin Gibson, because he had a game where it was like a storytelling role-playing game where you have to tell the story. One of the players passed away, and it's like their obituary, and everybody else is telling the story of their life or their death. I don't recall if it was the life or the death, though. Either way, it sort of hits that. So then for mechanics, I wrote, and this was a hard one for mechanics, but I wanted to get into that because I've skipped it for a couple days. So mechanics, I wrote player elimination, where you want to be eliminated. It's like vaguely lugubrious. It's vaguely something where you have to lose, but that's tricky because then losing becomes winning, and we've been through something like that lately too. So another one I had was where you play as partners, and this was neat because you're partners with somebody, and at some point, one of the partners is lost. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. We don't know how soon in or how much time that you will spend separated, but the nature of the game, people are lost, and your partnership will break at some point. Now, you playing as partners and one being lost means one of them could pass away, but it could also mean like a breakup or something along those lines. But I kept it as passing away because only one partner remains, and the other player will now become a new character and form a new partnership, and it continues. The game would just continue on as you gain these different partners, and the one that is lost essentially leaves everything. So you can hang on to everything that they gained, and you can keep them for memories and relic points or whatever it would be, just some sort of, points for the honor of your loved one. Or you can use them to aid you on the game, giving you ways to access to get other, victory points or whatever it takes. But they give you you could also get some sort of boost for moving on from them. For if you clear everything, maybe there's a weight lifted in that, you're not holding on to it anymore. I don't know. That was my second thought. And my final one This is quick today because we recorded for like almost 25 minutes last night. So you'll see that in a week, though, not until next Wednesday. But my final thought, it's a game where you are the only soldier remaining on a battlefield. And it can be extracted to fantasy or space or something just to be not so dismal and realistic. But your army's defeated. You need to finish it on your own by defeating the entire opposing force. You want to do that to honor your fallen companions. It's not about you at this point, it's about them. It's about if you don't survive, their story is not told. So that's the motivation, is to honor your fallen companions. And they should, this gets into what we discussed yesterday, was that they should have some character. It's to drive that emotion into the game. And you're gonna hear about 20 minutes on that on Wednesday. But I would get deep into what they do. What would they do? So you look at your fallen companions and what would this one have done, and what would that one have done, and how would they have helped us get through this. And it's weird because there is no like teamwork or anything in it, because you're the only one left and you can't have multiple strategies going and things like that. But maybe you can with them in spirit in some way. So that's where I sort of went with this. But you could sort of use their special talents to aid you, and sort of it could be calling back to a memory that you had with them, or a way that they taught you, or you learned from them. A little bit of what I've learned is what I wrote. But I think that could be interesting, and that could create your strategic points, and which character do I call to, and it could even be like, I just got Star Wars on my brain, but the Jedi ghosts of Obi-Wan and Yoda and Qui-Gon, and we can get weird with it and have like Coyote Mundi or any of those the Jedi, but that's not the idea. In a terrible pun, I wrote that I imagine this game is solo, not meaning Star Wars, but meaning single player. It's a nice deep theme for a solo game, and I've been embracing solo in a way that I think solo gamers like that kind of thing. They like the experience, and it's going to call them back, and you can take some chances with a solo game on an emotional level like this, or because it doesn't require that, trying to get other people involved and trying to, get them deep into this. It's almost like reading a book versus telling somebody about a book you read. I think the impact is much greater when you've read it yourself and gotten involved. So I imagine this is a solo game, and I don't know, it sounds interesting. So let me know if I can't even pronounce it. Lugubrious. I keep thinking it's lugubrious, or there's another word that's similar to that, but lugubrious, mournful, full of sorrow, extremely mournful, like wildly mournful, which I didn't touch on. If that sparks anything, please share. And otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. And like I said, I recorded with Rob, so next Wednesday is a monster of an episode. Really good stuff, except for what I brought to the table. The discussion was really good. But yeah, so let me know if you have anything, and we'll talk again tomorrow. See you.